again, one quick question on the OS that Trustonic has built for the market, right? For the industry, essentially. Uh, Trustonic essentially went all in to build a secure OS on TrustZone, right? And we wonder why was that necessary in that sense, right? And what's the difference now that you have done it? What do you see the difference that has occurred in the market or in the customers that you have faced currently?
Sure. I don't want to bore you with too much of a history lesson, but it's
Yeah.
important to go back a little bit because you may or may not know already that Trustonic was created in 2012 as a joint venture by ARM, Gemalto, and G&D. So when we were created, from day zero of Trustonic, we were actually bringing together three teams from three companies with strong security backgrounds and who had already been working on TrustZone for maybe 6 or 8 years since the start of TrustZone when it was introduced in 2004. So although Trustonic was created in 2012, the expertise that we brought into Trustonic had already been in this environment for maybe 6 or 8 years. So in the following years, as TrustZone evolved, the world evolved with it and became more connected, and more smart devices were out there, and that made a need for scalable, strong security solutions for smart devices. And it was obvious that TrustZone-based trusted execution environments would perfectly respond to that need. So this was one of the reasons for the coming together of these three companies, why these three companies thought it was the moment to create a new entity that focused on trusted execution environments and ARM TrustZone. So when we were born, we had our proprietary microkernel-based trusted OS, which we call Kinibi. In case I use that word, that's what it is. The name of our trusted OS is Kinibi. It had already many years of development invested and vast deployments, and now we're well over 2 billion, in fact, across different markets, but definitely became the #1 independent trusted OS for anyone looking for hardware-backed security that's going to protect their connected devices. We had partnerships in place with people like Mediatek and Samsung in order to embed our trusted OS with their Cortex-A chips, and this was providing them something that had been certified, something that was supported, maintained, something they could rely on for future updates, for features, new operating systems, and hypervisor support. All these things was something that Trustonic was able to bring to them, and something that they didn't need to have to worry about internally managing. So we were bringing this expertise and capability. But the TE, the trusted OS, is very tightly integrated with the silicon. So that is why it's very important to have these partnerships. It depends on hardware features, hardware configurations that must be done to ensure that the security of everything that is running on top of it is watertight. So things like secure boot, the hardware unique keys, random number generation, firewalls for memory access, all these things, they're fundamental to the system that's being built on top. So the relationships with the silicon vendors really helped us, but it also helped them provide world-class TrustZone-based security solutions to their customers. At the same time, other chip vendors who weren't using us, who were relying on open source solutions and who didn't have the same in-house expertise, were unknowingly introducing possibly vulnerabilities into customer projects. We've seen in the past 12 months, maybe 2 years, when we're talking to companies who are using open source solutions, we've identified vulnerabilities. We've raised those vulnerabilities and actually been able to help them to close those vulnerabilities. So it's proving to us that if you don't have having the product is one thing, but you also need, again, the expertise and the skills to be able to use it properly, and that's what's important. And so you also asked, what's different now that we have done it? Well, when we started, there weren't many trusted OS players. We got a bit of a head start in the market, which we've gladly managed to maintain by continuing to move the goalposts when it comes to what a trusted OS can do, how well it can do it. And one of the interesting consequences of having this competitive situation today where there's more trusted OS providers or options is that everyone else is forced to up their game because of us moving forward and always moving forward. It means that we've created an ecosystem where certification of the TE has become a mandatory requirement in RFQs for automotive, which wasn't the case in the past. This is relatively new. Now every RFQ we see has a requirement that says your TE, which gets put into this ECU, must be certified. And so the result of that is that we're seeing a more secure world and higher quality security products that are reaching the market. And this is a result of our dedication to be able to ensure the highest level of quality with our product.
TrustZone isn't just a buzzword these days. It's the backbone of Kinibi, Trustonic's secure operating system. And by the way, why build in? Because traditional security doesn't cut it anymore. At Sascured, we integrate Kinibi into actual products. In our next episode, we'll show you how.